Hi class, we're doing Unit 3, Lesson 5-2, Solving Percent Problems Using Proportions. As you can see, proportions just keep coming up in everything we do. What we should be able to do when we're done with this lesson is be able to solve problems involving percents using proportions. To solve a percent problem using proportions, you need to know these strategies. Number 1, when a problem says what blank, the what means that's the unknown that you're trying to solve. Number 2, remember percent is always over 100. So the 100 always goes in the denominator. Pause the video and write these down in your notebook. Number 3, you need to determine which is the part and which is the whole of the numbers that they give you in the problem. Number 4, part always goes in the numerator and whole always goes in the denominator. Number 5, the word is goes with part and goes in the numerator, and the word of goes with whole and goes in the denominator. Pause the video and write these last 3 down in your notebook. Okay, let's practice. Finding a percent. Here's an example. What percent of 2,000 is 204? To set up our proportion, let's pick a variable. Since we're looking for a percent, let's use P, and a percent always goes over 100. So we're going to put P in the numerator, and we put 100 on the bottom. Remember, a percent is always over 100. How did we know we were looking for percent? Remember that strategy? If it says what blank, that's what you're looking for in the sentence. Now we're going to look at the part to the whole. We have 2 numbers, 2,000 and 204. Which one do you think is the part? Well, I would guess it's the smaller number. How about you? Okay, 204 would be part of 2,000. And remember, is goes in the numerator, of goes in the denominator. So we're going to have 204 over 2,000. Now we have to cross multiply and solve for P, and we'll have our percents. When we cross multiply, we get 2,000P equals 20,400. Well, we're not done. Remember, P cannot be attached to anything. It likes to be alone. So we need to isolate P. To do that, we need to divide each side by 2,000. What we're left with is P equals 10.2. And since we know we were looking for a percent, we don't want to forget to put our percent sign at the end. Okay, now here's a problem finding a part. The example is 20% of 55 is what number? Well, what number? We don't know. That's going to be our variable. We already know the percent, so we're going to put that over 100. The other number in the sentence is 55. Is that the part or the whole? Well, if we can remember is over of, is what number? That's what we're looking for. So we're going to put our X on top because that's is over of. Of 55 goes into our denominator. And if you just think about the problem, it says 20% of 55 of the total. 20% of the total is what number? So let's now cross multiply and find our answer. Okay, when we cross multiply, we get 100x equals 20 times 55, which is 1100. Now we have to solve for x. To do that, we divide each side by 100, and we will get x equals 11. So, 20% of 55 is 11. Now we have to find the whole part of the number. Example, 20% of what number is 5? Well, what we don't know is what number. That goes with the of. The is 5. We already know the percent, so we put that over 100. The percent they're giving us in the problem is 20. So we put 20 over 100. 20 goes in the numerator, 100 goes in the denominator. Then we have to put the part over the whole using a variable for the information we don't know. Remember, part goes in the numerator, is, whole goes in the denominator, of. So what do they give us? We see is 5. We know is goes in the numerator. So we're going to put 5 in our numerator. We don't know the of what? Well, we don't know. So we're going to put a variable in the denominator. Now we're going to solve by cross-multiplying and dividing. When we cross-multiply, we get 20x equals 5 times 100 is 500. So 20x equals 500. Now we don't want to keep x attached to the 20. We want to isolate it, so we are going to divide each side by 20. And when we solve that, we get x equals 25. So 20% of 25 is 5. Now let's practice. The first question says, what number is 70% of 45? Well, I know the percentage. It's 70. And the percentage always goes over 100. So I can start my proportion. Now it says of 45. Remember, it's is over of, or part over whole. Well, I know the of, it's 45. That goes on the bottom. That's my whole. Since I don't know the part, or the is, I'm going to put an x there. Now all I have to do is cross multiply and solve. I get 100x equals 3,150. I have to now divide each side by 100, and I will get x equals 31.5. So, what number is 70% of 45? That would be 31 and a half, 31.5. Number 2 says 15 is 25% of what number? I don't know what number, but that's what we're going to find out. Okay, we know the percentage, 25. So we always put that over 100. And we're going to start our proportion. 15 is, so the is goes on top. Of what number? The of. That goes in the denominator. I don't know what number that is. I'm going to give it the variable x. Now we have to cross multiply. And solve. When I cross multiply, I get the equation 25x equals 1500. So now to isolate x, I divide each side by 25. And we will get x equals 60. So 15 is 25% of the number 60. Okay, last practice problem. 60 is what percent of 25? This time, we don't know the percent. So we have to put our variable in where we would normally put our percent. But we do know that a percent is always over 100. And now we're going to set up our proportion. Most of you want to say that 25 is part and 60 is whole because 25 is smaller. That's not correct. We don't go by that. Let's look at our is and our of. 60 is of 25. Is goes over of, so we have to put the is over the of. So this is parts and this is whole. That might not make sense to you, but we have to follow what the problem is asking us to do. So now we're going to cross multiply. And we get 25x equals 6,000. Now we have to divide by 25 on each side. And we get x equals 240. But 240 what? That would be 240%. That was a hard one. Hopefully you understood it. If not, you can rewind and play the video again. Now it's your turn. There's 3 problems you need to do and turn in tomorrow. If you get all 3 right, guess what? come get something from the candy bowl. Okay, see you in class.